A rhythmic pulse echoes faintly, like a heartbeat. Words drift through the void. It wasn't supposed to end like this. The voice, raw and weary, carries the weight of unspoken loss. The sound of footsteps falls softly, measured yet urgent. Shadows stretch along cracked pavement as the figure emerges, a lone traveler. Layers of worn fabric and a weathered satchel suggest long days and little rest. The faint glow of a street lamp flickers, its unreliable light casting a fragile warmth over their hands as they clutch an old, dog-eared map. Eyes scan the horizon, a dark city skyline where jagged buildings pierce the starless night. They pause, adjusting the map, its edges marked with cryptic symbols and notes scribbled in haste. The voice returns, steadier now. I tried to ignore it at first, told myself it wasn't my problem. But you don't get to choose what haunts you. A distant sound, a faint metallic clink, breaks the moment. The figure tenses, pulling a small object from their pocket. It gleams faintly, its polished surface reflecting light that isn't there. It's a compass, but the needle doesn't point north. Instead, it spins erratically, only stilling when aimed toward a distant point shrouded in mist. They tighten their grip, determination flickering in their posture. Fragments of memory flash like static in their mind. A warm smile, a hand reaching out, laughter echoing in a sunlit room. The images are fleeting, replaced by something colder, an empty chair, a shattered frame, and a voice, hers, pleading for help. I won't let her down again. The map flutters in the growing breeze as the figure moves with purpose. The voice grows firmer. It's out there, waiting. I can feel it. And whatever it takes, I'll find it. I'll fix this. Another sound, sharper now. A faint whisper carries through the air, though no one is near. Words in an unfamiliar language, barely audible, yet heavy with meaning. They stop, glancing back, their hand hovering near their satchel. A shadow shifts at the edge of their vision, vanishing the moment they focus on it. The whispers grow louder, forming a discordant hum. The figure pulls out a tattered notebook, flipping through pages filled with sketches, coordinates, and fragments of text. One page catches the light, a hastily scrawled warning, "Beware the Watcher." It sees all. The air grows heavier, tinged with a static-like charge. Their breath quickens and the voice cracks slightly. This isn't just about me anymore. Whatever's out there, it's spreading. I've seen the signs, the cracks, the disappearances. If I don't act now, the thought trails off. A sudden burst of wind extinguishes the street lamp. Darkness engulfs the scene. Only the faint glow of the compass remains, pulsing in time with a heartbeat-like rhythm. They take one last look at the map before stepping forward, their silhouettes swallowed by the shadows. The voice, a mere whisper now, lingers. It always starts with a choice. And this is mine. The sound of rain tapping against metal fills the air, a steady rhythm broken only by the distant murmur of voices. The figure moves through narrow streets, their steps cautious but deliberate. The glow of flickering neon signs above casts shifting colors onto the damp pavement. A faint hum grows louder as they approach a crowded market. The space is alive with fragmented sounds, vendors shouting prices, hurried footsteps, and distant music blending into a chaotic symphony. The figure keeps their head low, their hood pulled tight, but their eyes are sharp, scanning every face, every shadow. The voice returns, steady but laced with tension. She loved places like this. The energy, the chaos, it made her feel alive. Now I can't be in a crowd without looking over my shoulder. Everyone feels like a threat. Everyone might be watching. Their hand brushes against the compass in their pocket, a brief moment of reassurance before they move toward a dimly lit stall. The vendor, an older man with deep-set eyes, speaks in a low tone, gesturing to a selection of strange artifacts. The figure slides a small, folded piece of paper across the counter, a hand-drawn sketch of a symbol. The vendor hesitates, his expression darkening. He mutters something, shaking his head, but the figure doesn't leave. Instead, they reach into their satchel, pulling out a small item wrapped in cloth. The vendor's eyes widen as the cloth falls away, revealing a shard of something gleaming and unnatural. He nods, hastily exchanging the shard for a worn envelope. The figure retreats, weaving through the market's labyrinthine paths. Once alone in a quieter alley, they tear open the envelope. Inside is a photograph, old and faded. It shows a group of people standing in front of an imposing structure, their faces obscured by time. At the bottom, a single word is scrawled: Reclamation. The voice tightens, almost breaking. This is it. The last time she wrote to me, she mentioned that word. Said it wasn't a place, but an idea. A warning. Now it's staring me in the face, and I still don't know what it means. A sudden sound, a low growl, inhuman, makes them freeze. The shadows around them seem to move, shapes shifting just beyond the edge of perception. They step back, their hand on the compass, but the needle spins wildly, useless. The growling grows louder, closer, until it stops. Silence stretches thin, broken only by the faint echo of their own breathing. Then a whisper, soft but distinct: "You shouldn't be here." They spin around, but no one is there. The voice is gone, replaced by a faint crackling, like static from an old radio. The compass in their hand begins to glow faintly, its needle finally locking onto a direction. Without hesitation, they start moving again, their pace quickened. The voice, firm once more, echoes, no more delays. This ends where it began. The air is heavy, every sound amplified in the suffocating silence. The figure's breathing is steady, but the tension in their posture betrays the storm brewing beneath the surface. Ahead looms the structure from the photograph, a towering relic of another time, its facade cracked and weathered, but exuding an unshakable sense of dread. The compass pulses faintly in their hand, the glow intensifying with every step forward. The voice, sharper now, cuts through the oppressive stillness. This place shouldn't exist. It was erased, buried, so why does it feel alive? The entrance is ajar, as though inviting them in. They hesitate, the faint sound of static humming in the distance. Each step echoes louder than the last as they cross the threshold, the air inside colder, almost suffocating. Their hand brushes against the wall, which feels unnaturally warm, almost alive. A faint glow illuminates the corridor ahead, flickering like an unsteady heartbeat. The walls are adorned with symbols, intricate and otherworldly, carved with precision. They pause to examine them, their fingers tracing one of the larger carvings. Images flash in their mind, disjointed and jarring, of the same symbol etched into stone, surrounded by fire, a figure standing in the center, unrecognizable but hauntingly familiar. The static grows louder, morphing into whispers that swirl around them, overlapping and incomprehensible. Their grip on the compass tightens as the needle begins to spin again. It's a trap, the voice murmurs, low and almost resigned. But I've come too far to turn back now. The corridor opens into a vast, cavernous space, its ceiling disappearing into darkness. At the center of the room stands a figure, shrouded in shadow. The glow of the compass fades, leaving the room bathed in an unnatural light emanating from the figure itself. A voice emerges, distorted and hollow. "You've been predictable, as always." The figure steps forward, revealing a face half hidden by a fractured mask. Their presence exudes a suffocating power, their movements deliberate and menacing. The protagonist takes a step back, their voice breaking slightly. "Where is she?" The masked figure chuckles, the sound reverberating unnaturally. "You're asking the wrong question. It's not where, it's when." They gesture to the walls, where the symbols begin to shift and writhe as though alive. The protagonist's mind races, piecing fragments together. The photographs, the compass, the warnings. "You've been manipulating this from the start," they say, their tone hardening. "But why?" The masked figure tilts their head, almost amused. "Because you made it easy. All it took was one crack in your resolve, one moment of hesitation. And now, everything you care about belongs to me." The air crackles as the room begins to distort, the edges of reality bending and breaking. The protagonist draws a small device from their satchel, its surface engraved with the same symbols as the walls. The figure's laughter cuts through the chaos. "Do you really think you can stop this?" You're too late. The protagonist's voice is steady, filled with quiet determination, maybe. But I'm not leaving without her. With a press of the device, light explodes outward, swallowing everything in its path. The screen fades to black, leaving only the faint echo of a heartbeat. The silence is deafening. Slowly, sound begins to seep in, a faint hum, the steady rhythm of breath, and the crackling of distant fire. The light from the device has faded, leaving only a dim glow from unseen sources. The protagonist lies motionless, dust settling around them. They stir, coughing weakly, and push themselves upright. Their hands tremble as they touch their face, their voice barely audible. Still here, barely. Their eyes scan the space, now warped and fractured. Walls twist unnaturally, and the floor seems to stretch into infinity. It feels less like a place and more like a memory unraveling in real time. The compass lies nearby, its glow faint but steady. They pick it up, staring at the needle now pointing downward, pulsing softly. The realization dawns slowly, the weight of it sinking in. She's not here. This was never about saving her, was it? Their voice is raw, a mix of anger and despair. From the shadows, the distorted voice of the masked figure echoes faintly, fragmented and fading. You're starting to understand, but understanding won't change anything. The sound dissolves, leaving the protagonist alone. They move forward, each step dragging. The symbols on the walls pulse faintly, their glow sinking with the compass. The whispers return, faint and indistinct. One voice among them cuts through, familiar and fragile. You're close, but time is running out. Their pace quickens, the voice guiding them through the labyrinthine corridors. The world around them feels unstable, fragments of past memories bleeding through, the laughter of a child, the warmth of sunlight on skin, the crushing finality of a door slamming shut. Each step feels heavier, as though the past itself is trying to hold them back. At last, they reach a small, circular room. At its center is a pedestal, and resting atop it is a crystalline object, glowing faintly. The compass reacts immediately, its light surging. They hesitate, their voice trembling. If I take it, what will it cost me? The familiar voice answers, softer now. Everything. They approach the pedestal, their movements deliberate. The crystalline object seems to hum, resonating with their heartbeat. They reach out, their fingers brushing its surface, and the world collapses inward. Blinding light floods the space, and suddenly they are elsewhere. A quiet field bathed in golden light stretches before them. In the distance, they see her, standing still, looking out over the horizon. The protagonist calls out, their voice breaking, "It's me. I'm here." She turns slowly, her expression unreadable. For a moment, there is only silence between them. Then she speaks, her voice soft but firm. "You shouldn't have come." Confusion washes over them. "I did this for you. I couldn't let you go." She shakes her head, stepping closer. "You don't understand. You weren't supposed to find me." Now it begins again. The light begins to dim, the field fading into shadow. Panic rises in the protagonist's voice. "No, wait. I can fix this." Her final words echo as the world dissolves. "You can't save what's already lost." The screen fades to black. A faint whisper lingers. "Every choice matters."